Hi, Thrifty Vicky here. Welcome to my channel. I'm excited to have you here. If you like what you see today, please subscribe. Today I'm making soup, and I eat soup all year round, and mainly right now because groceries are so expensive that it makes a lot and then we can eat it for leftovers. So that's my magic right now, is trying to make a lot of soups and big meals to try to save a little bit of money. Almost all these ingredients are from Aldi. Aldi has great prices right now. I always try to catch sales when I'm there to make future recipes. A little bit of thrifty tip there. So let's get started. First ingredient I'm using is an Italian sausage from Aldi. It calls for andouille or different types of sausage, but this one was a really good price, so I'm gonna go ahead and use this. In the original recipe, you start with sauteing your onion, but I'm gonna saute my onion with my sausage. So let's start by chopping up an onion. Cut your onion in half, leave the root part on, and you won't cry as much. Chop the one end off, take the thickest skin, not just the skin, but the actual first layer of the onion. And I have a whole episode on just how to cut an onion, but it saves you a lot of time. Onions are not expensive, so don't be afraid to take that first layer off. Look how fast that was. Now, keeping the root on to try not to cry, I'm just gonna slice along the ridges. Again, I have a whole recipe or a whole episode on how to cut an onion. So I'm just gonna do this one a little bit fast for you, but I just wanna show you actually how fast it is to cut an onion. Now this is chopped, but it can be a little bit on the bigger side, especially when you're doing soups. They don't have to be finely chopped. It's kind of nice to have a little bit of crunch in your soup. Okay, now I'm gonna put a little bit of olive oil in my pan. I have it on medium-high heat. Really as much, it's kind of just enough to saute. You can always add a little bit of olive oil if you need to. Olive oil is not a high heat oil, so medium-high is a good oil temperature for olive oil. You don't want to cook it too high or it'll get rancid. Okay, all right, so I'm gonna add my onions. Do you love that sound? Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and add my sausage. I'm just gonna use my knife and just cut little squares. And then of course I'll have to use a different knife to chop the rest of the stuff up. Let me get my, put that right in. Oh, the paper's sticking. Oh, that drives me crazy. Okay. Peel that off. Okay, I'm gonna go wash my hands. So I'm gonna let this cook for about 10 minutes. Okay, while that is cooking, I'm gonna go ahead and cut my corn, and I'm gonna keep the husk, it's not a husk, the core of the corn. And because this is flat, stick it right on the cutting board and then use a serrated knife. Super, super easy. And we're not gonna put the corn in yet, but I'm just gonna go ahead and prep everything while the onions are cooking. And the sausage. Okay, next I'm gonna prep my garlic. I need 2 cloves of garlic. Okay, I wasn't sure if 2 packages would be too much, but I'm gonna go ahead and put the second package in. See how that just kind of starting to cook up? Okay, back to the garlic. Okay, so now with the garlic, if you remember, just smash it. And that helps take the skin right off. Just makes it so much easier to peel off when you smash it. And then I'm gonna smash it again, and then I'm gonna chop it. that garlic is strong. Okay. Now the sausage does not have to be completely cooked, because once we put the broth in, it'll continue to cook. So we don't really want it completely cooked all the way through. So it's been on about 5 minutes. So I'm going to add my garlic. And it says fresh thyme. So I've got about 4 sprigs here. Now, there's a couple ways you can do it. One is you can just go down and take all the leaves off, which is super easy, except these tops are a little bit of a challenge. So you're just taking this, and you're just taking your finger and running it all the way through. And that takes all the leaves off. If you have any extra stems in there, they'll come right out once your soup is ready, so don't be afraid of that. If you're doing a 5-star dining experience, then maybe you want to make sure there's no stems in there, but my family's pretty forgiving. Okay, so got the thyme in there. Just gonna do that for about 30 seconds. Now the other option, if you don't have fresh thyme, is I talk about this almost every time I cook, because I'm just so in love with this doTERRA. Their essential oils are food grade, and I'm just gonna, just for the fun of it, I'm gonna put a drop of thyme in just to really add that flavor. 1 drop is plenty. And if you don't have any fresh, that was 2 drops, oops. It's gonna be very flavorful. But this is super potent, so it's fantastic, especially in the wintertime when herbs are a little bit harder to come by in your garden, especially if you live in the Midwest. It gives you the opportunity to have that fresh thyme. Okay, so this has been about 30 seconds. I'm gonna go ahead and add my broth. I'm gonna do a whole thing of broth. This is Aldi's organic, reduced sodium broth. And I'm going to add my cobs. The cobs are going to add a really nice silky, it also gives a little bit of sugar in the sauce, so it really adds a lot of flavor. And you're not wasting anything, which is really great. Okay, so we're going to bring that to a boil, and then I'm going to let it boil for about, actually I'm just going to bring it to a boil, and then I'm going to bring it down to a simmer. Put the other ingredients in, the corn and the zucchini, and then I'll bring it to a simmer. Oh, bay leaf. I need to add a bay leaf to the... And I'm going to add a little salt and pepper. The other thing you can do is add your salt and pepper while you're cooking your onions, because then the onions will absorb that flavor. But I forgot. So we're just going to do it right now. I think I mentioned earlier, I'm just gonna add a little bit of red pepper flake, that a lot of these ingredients are from Aldi. Actually, most of them are. And that's because groceries are really expensive right now, and Aldi does a good job of keeping their prices down. So, okay. Now I'm gonna cut up my zucchini. I'm gonna do it first in quarters. Take the little top part off. Get that out of the way. Okay, so I'm gonna do quarter, oops, too many, more than a quarter here. Oh no, it's a quarter. And then I'm gonna cut that in half, put the flat side down, safety first, and then I'm gonna make these little half moons. So that's basically all the ingredients for this soup. I am going to add at the very end some spinach. The original recipe doesn't call for spinach, but I like to add a lot of nutrients to my food. And spinach really doesn't have a big flavor to it unless you put something with it, like salt or cream or butter. But by itself, it's just really bland. So you can really, I almost say sneak it into, especially if you have children or a fussy partner, husband or wife or whatever, you can kind of sneak that in, especially if you chop it really, really small. Like you can sneak it into spaghetti sauce, whatever, but especially soups. It's gonna be hard to hide this in the soup because it's a clear broth soup, but my family loves spinach, so it's okay. All right, we're just gonna let that come to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, I'll see you and we'll add the rest of our ingredients. Hi, I'm back. It has started to boil, so I'm gonna turn it down to simmer. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add my corn and my zucchini. Still keeping the corn cobs in the water because it'll continue to flavor the broth. Looks really, really good. Okay, now I'm just gonna simmer that for probably about 10 minutes, just really until the zucchini gets softer. The corn will cook right away, and with corn on the cob, you actually don't even really need to cook it, but I like when it's got a little bit of crunch to it still, so hopefully it won't overcook with the zucchini. So we're just gonna let that simmer, and I'll be back, and then bon appetit, we'll try the soup together. The original recipe doesn't call for any sort of toppings, but I'm a big topping kind of person, so I'm gonna add Parmesan, a little Romano, and then because I have this avocado that is super ripe, I wanna use it up, so I'm gonna sprinkle, well, chunks of it right on top of the soup. And then I'm also gonna add some fresh parsley from my herb garden that I just did an episode about not too long ago. So I'm just gonna get this ready just by opening up the package, and then when the soup is ready, I'm just gonna use my little handy dandy tool to just shave some beautiful cheese on top. If you're dairy-free, obviously you can omit this step, but I really think it adds a lot of punch to the soup. So, okay, be back when it's still simmering, and be back to try it out. Hi, welcome back. I have about 5 minutes left on the simmering for the zucchini. So I'm gonna go ahead and add some spinach. This is a baby spinach that I buy in a big container. I do take the big stems off of this one because the stems can be rather large for soup. And I'm just gonna loosely chop these into smaller pieces. Look at all those nutrients. Add that right in the soup. I did taste the broth, it tastes amazing. I think the cobs add such a flavor to it. So if you don't have access to fresh corn on the cob, you can always use frozen corn, but you won't get that extra punch of flavor in your broth. So, but you could do that. Okay, so the spinach is in. Probably have about 5 more minutes, and then this will be ready to go. So we'll see you in about 5 minutes. Okay, we're back. It looks like I'm gonna just test the zucchini. And see if it's ready. It looks like it looks pretty good. Yep, it's perfect. Okay, so this is ready. I just cut if it cuts really easily, then it's ready to go. So, okay, I'm just gonna do something really fun that I think adds a lot of amazing flavor. I'm gonna put a little bit of butter and just let that melt in with everything. And then we're good to go. So while the butter's melting, I'm gonna take the cobs out. I love the idea of reusing the whole part of the corn. Yay. Oh, it's gonna be good. Okay. Stir that butter around. It's already melted. Oh my gosh, this is just a really beautiful looking soup. Look how beautiful that is. I'm so excited. Okay. Now I'm gonna add a little bit of Parmesan and Romano. And remember, when you're using this tool, just go up, down, up, down. Look how beautiful that is. I'm just gonna add a teeny bit of red pepper flake. Even though I put some in the soup, I like mine a little bit spicier. I'm not gonna put a lot, but just a little sprinkling of it. Turn this down. Simmer or to low, and then I'm gonna add, since I had some leftover avocado that's really super ripe, I'm just gonna put some of that on top, and then a little bit of parsley from my garden. I mixed flat leaf and curly, why not? Put that on top, and that is it. Soup is so easy to make. It's so healthy. It's cost effective. So let's just dig in here. See, it looks like it's hot, so I'm gonna be a little careful here. Mm. Wow. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm. We have a little bit of corn in there. Mm. Oh, that's really delicious. Mm. And I actually really do like the cheese on top. I wasn't quite sure if that was going to be a winner or not, but it really is good. So thank you for coming. If you like what you see, please press like, subscribe.